Good evening, friends, and welcome. It's Lisa Maynard, and it's another episode of Kit Crush Wednesday. I'm sorry I couldn't be with you last week, but it was a short week, and I kind of got all discombobulated, and things were just crazy, and I just couldn't get to it. But we're back this week, and I'm going to wait for a couple people to jump on so you can join me here. This week, we're going to look at the May Paper Pumpkin Kit, which it's now June, but the May Paper Pumpkin Kit Mountain Majesties, and it's a very, very cool kit. So I think we've seen a couple people jump on, so I'm going to go ahead and turn the camera around, and we're going to get started here. And let me show you what we're going to be making this week. So these are 3 of the 9 cards that you will be making, and they're very earthy, very simple, very sleek, very earthy. So I really like this kit. This one card, You Mean the World to Me. There's multiple layers on this. And if you can see, multiple layers on it. So it's kind of fun. There's some vellum that's kind of see-through on it. So that's kind of fun. We're going to stamp right on that card, and we have matching envelopes. So we have this one. Then we have another one here, very suitable for what's coming up in June, Father's Day. So again, multiple layers to this card. Very, very cool. And then we've stamped some birds on the horizon there. So, and again, a matching watercolor like envelope on these. So it's like a watercolor type of background. Very cool. And then the final one we here have is we're just going to stamp a little bit of yeah, we stopped there for a second. I'm sorry. I'm not really sure why we're kind of crooked, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to fix this. So never mind the state of my craft room here while I flipped that around. And let's get this back up here. There. I'm not really sure what happened there, friends, why that kind of froze and then did something kind of strange on me. So this one is, we've got some mountains in the background. Again, this is quite layered. And then we have here the sentiment, but it hasn't even been stamped. This is just already pre-done for us. So that is mostly just layering on that card and a little bit of stamping up there. So let's go ahead and set these aside. And my camera is really lagging right now. Let's let it catch up a bit. It's trying really hard to catch up. So hopefully this will keep working. So let's go ahead and bring in our kit. And it's not really, friends, I'm sorry, I don't really know what the problem is with the focus right now. It's kind of a little out of focus here, and hopefully it'll get better. We're going to bring in the kit, and we're going to show you what's in this kit for this month. So as always, we have the instructions, which are great to have, very useful to have. So we have those. We have our stamp spot, Misty Moonlight. This is a great color, and we're going to use that. We have our stamps, lots of different sentiments here that we can use. Best dad ever, you're the greatest, happy Father's Day, happy birthday, and then as always, our little insert so you can see what you've used and what if something's missing. Tearing tape, which we all know that tearing tape has become very popular in these kits. So we're going to need some tearing tape, and as always, our Stampin' Dimensionals. So we're going to go ahead and set those aside. Then we have our parts and pieces. These are for the sentiment parts. And then we have our die cut layering pieces, multiple layers of those, multiple pages of those, I should see, parts and pieces here. And these are all like vellum-y types, so you can see through those. Our card bases and our envelopes. So I'm going to go ahead and stick those back in. We're going to go ahead and stick our stamp thing back in there. And we're going to go ahead and set this aside so that we can start with our kit. Now, let's work on the first one here. I've already assembled parts and pieces together. There's lots of parts and pieces that go with this, and I've already pre-done most of that for you. But what we are going to do on this one, and I'm going to go ahead and bring in my full-size stamp pad, Misty Moonlight here. We're going to do that. We're going to go ahead and stamp the birds onto the background on the base of this card. So let's go ahead and ink that up really nicely. And we're going to go ahead and stamp these right about here, just like so, right about in there. And then there's a little tiny other thing of birds, and we're going to go ahead and stamp that close to the horizon here, right about there, just like that. Now I am going to go ahead and set that out of the way so I don't get my hand in it. So we're going to go ahead and fold this over now that we've done our stamping, and using our bone folder, we're going to go ahead and just burnish that. It's kind of cool. The back of the card is also like the front as far as the mountain scenery goes. Well, that's very, very cool. So let's start layering our parts and pieces. The very first piece we're going to layer is this vellum-y type piece. And if you follow your directions, it instructs you to put the Stampin' Dimensionals close to the bottom of this. And that's so that you don't have any of it up here, because you can see that part. So we're going to go ahead and take those paper backings off the Stampin' Dimensionals, just like so. And this is going to adhere at the bottom of our card. So all of our layers are going to start out at the bottom and to the left and the right of our card. So here we can see those, but those are going to be covered up. But it covers up that first layer. See that layer right there of that first line on the card? That's how that goes. Now, the next, and I would suggest if you are doing this at home to follow along. Now we've got our tear and tape on here. I've already put it on there, and we're going to do that little trick where I just burnish it with my bone folder, and then it makes it super easy to just take that backing off. Now again, this is going to go along the bottom of our card, and I try to get this lined up fairly well so that when we adhere that, it goes just right along the bottom, just like so, just like so. So now you can see there's layers to that. So beautiful. Now, third layer, we're gonna again adhere this another vellum piece, and we're going to adhere it to that. So we've got our tear and tape on there again. We're going to just burnish that up a little bit. Go ahead and come in here and take that backing off that tear and tape, and go ahead and line this up again with the bottom and the sides of this card, just about right like so, and then just give that a nice little press there. Now, if you can tell, see that we've got all those pieces layering in there, and it's just really cool, very cool card. And then our final piece that layers on is this one green piece, and we've got those Stampin' Dimensionals again, and this is going to layer up right along this left side here. And if I've got, no, I didn't get that off. Yeah, I got it off the others. Okay, and then we're going to line it up along the bottom and along that left side so that it goes right about like so, just like that. And there we have our card all done. Very, very, very dimensional. I really like the way that that turns out. Now, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to, and I think this, nope, we just used Stampin' Dimensionals. So we're going to put Stampin' Dimensionals on the back of our sentiment here. So let's go ahead and grab some of those. And we want to make sure that we bring this over enough so that it doesn't get onto that layer. So I'm going to put 3 dimensionals on here, just like that. But I'm going to leave enough room on this part of it so we don't get caught on one of those layers. And take those off like so. And then we're going to come in here and it's going to go right on, right about like there. Just, well, that's not quite, I don't like that. It's not quite straight. Let's move that up just a little bit. That's much better. And there we go. Happy Father's Day. Isn't that a very, very cool, just very simple, but like very sleek, elegant card. So there's our first one. Let's go ahead and bring in the parts and pieces to our next one. So here we have that mountain scene, which is very, very cool. So we are going to just go ahead and stamp one little extra part on this and bring this back in. And our little birds, again, we're going to stamp these little birds onto our card, and we're just going to stamp them right up here in the sky, just like so. Move that out of my way again. Then taking our bone folder, we're going to go ahead and burnish this card just like that and make it nice and flat. And then we're going to start layering our pieces. So our first piece we have is this vellum piece again. And as you can see, I've got the Stampin' Dimensionals here and the Stampin' Dimensionals at the top. So what is really kind of crazy about this, as you're going to see, is look at all the printing that's already been done on this card base. Well, we're going to cover it up. We're going to cover it up with this layering piece right now. So this is going to also match up with this part of this mountain right here. So I'm going to go ahead and line this up on the bottom and on the left. And here we go. That lines up perfectly with that line. Now, these dimensionals, you're not going to see because we are going to add another piece to that. And here again is our mountain scene, which was on the base of that card, and our tear and tape. And this is going to be our next layer. Just burnish that a little bit. And so when we bring in our, take your pick, and we just whip the backing off of those so quickly. Makes it so much faster. Now, we're going to layer this again. And we're going to match it up at the bottom and on the sides. And we have two places where that tear and tape is. So just give it a nice little press. And as you can see, we're starting to layer, starting to put all those layers on. Now, the final piece of our layering is this are the trees. And these are going to butt up right here against the side. So some of this will show through, most of it will not. And just kind of put your Stampin' Dimensionals where it shows on the directions. In this particular one, the more the better is what they showed in the instructions. So I followed those. And we're going to line this up against the bottom and against the left side. And then it goes just like so. So there we have our mountain scene, lake scene. It's very, very cool. Final part of this. We've got 2 Stampin' Dimensionals on our white layering piece here. And this piece is going to go right about here on our card. And so this is going to be the back piece to our sentiment. Now our sentiment is going to hang off this white piece a little bit, but we only want to put the Stampin' Dimensionals on what would be the right side or the opposite side of what's going to hang off. So I put 2 on there, and what we're going to do, because we want this to pop up also, but we don't want it to stick to there. So we want to kind of get that top and bottom a little even, and we're going to put those right about there. And there we have that card. Thank you for being the person you are. So very cool. And I love those little birds. I mean, you could even add more birds up there if you wanted to. Very, very cool. So final card. Let's bring in all the parts and pieces again. If you can tell, there's a theme here. We're layering, friends. We're layering a lot. Now, this one, we're going to go ahead and stamp the sentiment right directly onto the card. And so I'm going to go ahead and ink up "You Mean the World to Me" right here, ink it up very nicely. And we're going to stamp it kind of in where this sun or moon looks like. And I'm going to go ahead and put that down right there and let that soak in a little bit. And there you go. You mean the world to me. Very cool. Very, I like the script of that stamp. It's just very pleasing. All right, here we go. We're going to go ahead and fold this in half and burnish it like we did the other ones. And so we make that nice and flat, easier to work with. We've only got 3 pieces to this one because they're rather large. So here's our first piece. Again, Stampin' Dimensionals. We're going to line this up with our bottom and left and right of our card base. There's a lot of dimensionals used in these cards. So again, this lines up with this little brown area right here, and we're covering up all that underneath part. And even though we're covering it up, we're going to come back in and add it back in because we're going to add this piece. Again, it's a vellum, so it's kind of see-through. And again, along the bottom. So we want to make sure we kind of keep those along the bottom there. There's a lot of Stampin' Dimensionals, so these adhere very well because, you know, they go clear across the card. And we want to make sure everything is nice and secure. And there's that piece. And then our final piece, just 3 along the bottom because this is fairly short. So, and this is fairly short, so we don't want them up protruding into that nice blue vellum area right there. And then one more time, layer that across, and there you go. You mean the world to me. Really, really cool layers on that card. So there you are, friends. Let's bring these cards in again. Just a quick look. The Happy Father's Day. You mean the world to me. And thank you for being the person you are. Now you could change the sentiments on these, definitely. Mix and match. Whatever you would like to do. But I really like this kit, and I hope you, if you have ordered it, and if you are a Paper Pumpkin subscriber, that you've enjoyed this kit as also. If you're not, please think about subscribing because each month you get a new surprise in the mail when the new kits come out. They kind of have a preview, but not always. So you kind of get a little glimpse, but you really, and I don't know. We don't know what they're going to be until we get them, until we make them. So it's really kind of a fun deal. Let's turn this around and let's finish up for this evening. Thank you, friends, so much for being here this week. I truly appreciate everyone that tunes in every week. I have a couple of my loyal followers, and I appreciate you so much. I want everyone to have a great rest of your week. Have a wonderful weekend. And we will see you back here next Wednesday. Bye, friends.